Craig here again, going over some more Fukushima death cult news. Yes, we have the standard operators, the ones that produce clickbait, fear porn for profit, the ones that intentionally scam people for money that we do all the time on this channel. But we also just did a video about Russia and how their propaganda ministry is working overtime to try to demonize Fukushima and radiation. And the South Korean government does it too. Here's an example from the mainstream press of South Korea. This is ARIRANG News. I'm sorry, I may not be pronouncing it right. Now, in this case, YouTube doesn't warn us that this is also a propaganda machine, but you'll see they put out videos every day, sometimes multiple videos every day, trying to demonize Japan in some way, and usually recently it's been because of Fukushima radiation. And they want to boycott the Olympics. Let's look a little bit of their lies.
Japan's environment minister has sparked controversy by saying the only way to get rid of radioactive wastewater accumulating at the damaged Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant is to dispose of the wastewater into the ocean. Our Kim Yo-sun has more on this story.
Yoshiaki Harada, which they do correct later in this piece, said that when he was not in his official capacity, and he was quickly let go, and a new rising star put in his place, a political wannabe, and he quickly made a decision that's going to make a lot of people happy, but be a really stupid decision.
The radioactive wastewater from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant is increasing by 170 tons each day. As of late July, more than 1 million tons of contaminated water has accumulated in almost 1,000 tanks at the plant. While Japan is expected to run out of storage place for the wastewater within 3 years, global environmental NGO Greenpeace revealed last month that Tokyo has decided to discharge the wastewater into the ocean.
Greenpeace? Oh, Greenpeace can't be anti-nuke or unbiased source of information, could it be? Yeah, when you don't want to lie directly, call in an anti-nuke expert to lie for you.
The point is that any releases from Fukushima, there will be migration of some of that material through the East China Sea into the East Sea.
Oh, ramp up the fear porn. It's coming your way, South Korea. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
To this, the Japanese government has insisted so far that it has not yet decided on how it will deal with the wastewater.
Each time you mention that radioactive wastewater, you also fail to mention that it's already been treated. This next segment shows how they corrected what they said before.
However, Japan's Environment Minister Yoshiaki Harada said Tuesday that there is no other way to dispose of the radioactive water other than to discharge it into the ocean. According to local media, he told reporters that this is the only option as Tokyo Electric Power is said to be running out of room to store the radioactive water that was used to keep fuel cores from melting following the powerful earthquake in 2011. Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga said in a separate briefing that what Harada said was his personal opinion.
I understand that Harada's comment means that the government should fully discuss the matter, and it was his personal opinion.
In response, Seoul's foreign ministry said that the remarks are not Japan's official stance, adding that the Seoul government is keeping a close watch on Tokyo's movements. Stressing that the issue deals with the public's health and safety, the ministry asked Japan to take a wise and prudent decision on the matter. Kim Yo-sun, Arirang News.
So why is South Korea also ramping up this fear porn propaganda? In one word, racism. That's right. South Korea has had a huge hatred towards Japan because of things that was done in the past, and a lot of it during World War II. Japan did a lot of nasty things to a lot of people, a lot of different countries in World War II. South Korea included, also the Philippines, China, Taiwan. But they got over it. Why can't you? Yes, it's about racism. That's really what it's about. It has nothing to do with radiation. They're using that as an excuse to hide their racism. Yeah, because, okay, South Korea, did you fail to mention to your people that, you know what, South Korea releases tritium into their waterways from nuclear power plants? Always has. In fact, all power plants do, nuclear power plants around the world. You forgot to mention that, didn't you? Did you also forget to mention that South Korea dumped nuclear waste into the world's ocean, into the East Sea in the 60s and 70s? Did you forget to mention that? Did you also fail to mention that tritium is a natural element formed in the atmosphere that is found in waterways all over the world? Did you also fail to mention that Seoul is actually about twice as radioactive as Tokyo is? Yet you need to boycott the Olympics because of radiation. Maybe we should ban all travel to South Korea. You South Koreans keep quoting and sending me links to garbage links, such as Greenpeace. They can't be anti-nuke, can they? They can't be biased, could they? And then this 60 Minutes Australia piece that even the title is an absolute lie. You can't claim to be a nuclear expert if you continually lie and you are anti-nuke and you purposely have an agenda to fulfill.
Truth is stranger than fiction.
No. Take a look at some video now of a news report that got it right, that gets it right, from Hawaii. Take a look.
There are new concerns tonight about radiation in the Pacific Ocean.
The Japanese government says it's running out of space to hold radioactive water from the Fukushima nuclear plant, so it needs to dump some of that water into the ocean.
Sam Spangler spoke to an expert at the University of Hawaii to find out what it means for us here on the Hawaiian Islands. Sam?
Well, Dash, Professor Henrietta Dulai has been researching Fukushima and its impacts here in Hawaii since the nuclear disaster back in 2011. She says Hawaii shouldn't see any impacts to people or animals.
Professor Dulai and her team have been testing the waters around the Pacific for years now, looking for radioactive particles. She believes the water Japan will release will mainly contain something called tritium.
It has a 12-year half-life, so indeed it would linger in the ocean for quite a bit. But I should add that there is already a lot of tritium in the environment. It's produced naturally in the atmosphere. A lot of it was released also from nuclear weapons testing, and so definitely it would add new amounts to the ocean.
Tritium can't penetrate skin, so it's not dangerous to the touch, but it can be dangerous if inhaled or ingested. And with Hawaii's reliance on seafood, could our fish supply become a concern?
Even the fish that we caught after 2011 and we tested after 2011, it didn't have levels, orders of magnitude below any health concerns. So I would not necessarily be concerned about eating poke even after they released these new planned releases.
While we don't know the levels of particles that will be in water Japan plans to release, Professor Dulai says it will be much different from what was put into the ocean when the disaster first happened.
By the composition itself, it will be very different from where it was in 2011. But even the releases in 2011 actually never directly reached Hawaii in that they were entrained in a current that went north of us, fortunately.
Now, Japan has yet to finalize plans for releasing the water, but says they will run out of space by 2022. Now, Professor Dulai says she and other scientists continue to monitor pollution from Fukushima and will be studying any release to learn about impacts and how future ocean pollution would distribute. Bridget?
You see, now that's a whole different type of reporting. And this one was actually the truth. Because there isn't any high radiation and never will be any high radiation anywhere in the world due to the release of this water. South Korea needs to get over their hatred of Japan. You're being spoon-fed propaganda by the mainstream press, your own government, and other organizations that are purposely keeping the hate going. Get over it. Using the boycotting the Olympics as a reason to hide your hatred doesn't work, since there is no radiation problem anywhere the Olympics are going to be held. Okay, that's all for now. I have done another video just today, actually, dealing with Russia and how they lie to their people intentionally. I have a lot of other information on this channel. Thanks, everybody, for watching. So long.